The truth is in my hand right now. We've been doing the Truth Teller series. We pick someone, we pick something, we try and tell the truth about them. And tonight, the wheel landed on SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. And this is just me pausing, envisioning what the comments are going to look like. I think the truth about Greg Sankey is impossible to nail down. SEC homer? That's not what I mean. What I mean is I think you've got the truth, black and white, 2 + 2 = 4, sky is blue. And then you've got your truth. Chocolate ice cream is the best. And when it comes to Greg Sankey, I think it's a lot less black and white and a bunch of shades of gray with him, only because your perspective on this is going to heavily depend on the chair you sit in. And so I look at his job description is commissioner of the SEC, right? Not commissioner of college football. It's not in his job description to oversee things in the best interest of college football, as much as we would love for it to just be assumed in every decision maker's role. This is not a fairy tale world. It's not quite Shawshank, but it's somewhere between the two, probably leaning a little bit more towards Shawshank in the attitude you have to have when you're the SEC commissioner or the Big Ten commissioner or whatever. And so I always try and look at it through that lens, because Greg Sankey says things sometimes I can't stand. But it's not even because he's wrong. It's just because I'm viewing it from a different chair than he is. He's over there doing his job. And for everyone who looks at some of the things he says or some of the stances he takes, going and poaching OU Texas, it's a good example. I hated when OU and Texas came to the SEC because I hated how inflated it made one league. I hated how it gutted another league, just like I hated when the Big Ten expanded. Hated it. But I stopped short of looking at it and saying, shame on Greg Sankey for going and being so greedy and selfish as to get OU in Texas. Because here's the reality of it. Either Greg Sankey does it when it's on the table to be done, or he's fired and someone else takes his place and they do it. Like, there's no option, in other words, for Greg Sankey to hear the knock on the door, open the door, it's OU Texas, hello. We're two of the most prized assets in college athletics. We're looking to move. Are you interested? He can't say no, because if he says no, they just go up the road to the Big Ten. And then you get fired. And if you say no to them, you get fired. So my point's always been, I don't have to love the way things are, but I can also look at decisions being made that create the current environment and understand, yeah, some of these folks are doing what they have to do. Now look, even if Greg Sankey didn't have to do it, maybe he still would have done it. I don't know. But I try and look at these decisions that I don't like through those lenses. That's not to make, a permanent escape hatch for placing blame on him or anything like that. Hey, do me one favor right here. Look down. Are you subscribed to the channel? If you are, thank you. If you're not, please click subscribe. It helps us keep the show free and free of corporate interference. All right, that's it for me. Back to the clip. I just think it's worthwhile to consider that lens. There is what I want college football to be, which is regional, much more evenly distributed, much more competitively balanced. And the fact of the matter is, that is not what Greg Sankey goes into work every day thinking about. Greg Sankey goes into work every day thinking about positioning his conference in the best position it can possibly be in, because ultimately who he's answering to, they don't really care about the status of the Pac-12. I wish they did. I wish they did. I wish that there was a whole lot more collective understanding that maybe in some cases it benefits us to take a step back if it means the sport gets to take 2 or 3 steps forward, because in the aggregate, everyone wins more. I'd love that. In college athletics, at least, I'd love that. We can have a whole separate conversation about societal implications of that mentality. Sports has always been a natural preserve. So there are a lot of things I would advocate for in sports that I would never advocate for on the streets. And I wish everyone thought that way. I wish everyone made decisions that way. I think the truth of the matter with Greg Sankey is he's been a very, very effective commissioner for the SEC. I think out of these names, he is clearly the most powerful commissioner. And I'd even go a step further. let's record, this is April 9th. How should I word this? I think there are some measures that Greg Sankey is fighting right now, namely the overhauling of the Sports Broadcasting Act and the pooling of the media rights and whatnot. And then in my world, I think that probably ends up combined with the SCORE Act. Anyway, it creates this whole new ecosystem, a collectively bargained ecosystem where there is more money being distributed to football as well as non-revenue sports, more structure, more rules, and this serves to benefit the entire landscape more so than just the SEC or the Big Ten. I think Greg Sankey's the commissioner of that. If it's not me, Jesse, I think Greg Sankey's the commissioner of that one day. Like, I think he's in a really weird position because I think there's some stuff he's fighting against right now that if he loses the battle, he still ends up winning. That's how I sort of see the future for Greg Sankey. And that's, I don't know, it's always been really weird because I respect the job that he has means he's going to have to make decisions I hate sometimes. I kind of get that. I always ask, man, if I were in his position, would I have done anything different? And a lot of times the decisions I hate, I also find myself saying, yeah, I hate it, but I think I may have had to do the same thing if I were him. Not great. Not terrible either, though. I need to remind you about something because we got a little line dropped to us from friend of the program, Matt, who runs Magnolia Foundation the other night. So quick reminder what the Magnolia Foundation is. That's the charity that we partner with here at Pate State. And the Magnolia Foundation was born about 6 years ago, as of March, after a tornado came through Nashville and had several people lose their lives in that tornado. My building got hit by the tornado, but we didn't lose anybody in our building. But over across the river, they did. Matt's little girl was one of those children that were part of, I think, the 23 people overall that were killed in that tornado. And then they were faced with the very, very unenviable task of burying a child and also the expenses that come along with that. And so they came out of that and realized we're starting a foundation to help people so they don't have to deal with what we just have to deal with, at least from a cost standpoint. And they do great work with this, phenomenal work. We partnered with them last year. And two ways that you can give. You can either just go to themagnoliafoundation.com/give if you want to do it directly. We also put Magnolia Foundation and Pate State themed merch, like hats and shirts, in the Pate State store at patestatematerial.com, and a portion of those proceeds go to the Magnolia Foundation. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know, Matt hits me up last night with this text. Quote, "The state of Michigan loves you. I had, totally out of nowhere, a $5,000 donation from a guy in Michigan a couple of days ago. I sent him a thank you, and he hit us back and said that he connected to us through your show. Appreciate you." This isn't even the first, that's actually not close to the first text like that I've gotten from him. The Detroit airport came through. Because I am in the Detroit airport frequently, someone at the Detroit airport heard us mention them on the show and then saw the Magnolia Foundation call to action, and the Detroit airport just stepped up. So the state of Michigan has gone above and beyond to help the Magnolia Foundation. But hey, all seriousness, we really appreciate that. A lot of you have done that. Like a lot of you have bought the merch, and then a lot of you have said, no, I just want to go give directly. How do I do that? Well, themagnoliafoundation.com/give. That's how you do that. They do really, really good and really needed work.